Recently, critics have acknowledged the existence of a group of ingeniously installed sculptures here at the University of South Carolina. Thus far, little is known of the artist who chooses to remain anonymous. Perhaps a closer look at his or her work will reveal the subtleties and cultural implications of this heretofore unacknowledged master. During our search, we noticed a group of art students milling about, many with cameras, hoping to catch a glimpse of the artist at work. Thus far, no one has succeeded. We were able to capture one of the artist's assistants in the act of installation. Notice the precise attention to detail involved in the process of kinetic construction. So universal is the concept of the artist that his or her assistants are able to complete the installation without supervision. The actual process took hours of intense concentration. Another contemporary artist has said, "For me, the machine is above all an instrument that permits me to be poetic." If you respect the machine, if you enter into a game with the machine, then perhaps you can make a truly joyous machine. By joyous, I mean free. Movement is not the only quality the artist strives for in his or her creations. The kinetic aqua sculptures, as these pieces have been labeled, must interact fully with their environment. Reactions to this theory, when put into actual practice, have been mixed. Before investigating specific works from this artist's oeuvre, we asked viewers of these pieces for their reactions.
After seeing something like that, it's hard to appreciate anything else.
There's really no reason for any of this. Really.
I think they're marvelous. The use of minimal technique coupled with the flamboyance of the form, it's simply incredible.
I think they're really interesting. I would have never even noticed them if you hadn't pointed them out.
What do you mean, art? It's just a sprinkler.
As Jack Burnham queries in his well-known work, Beyond Modern Sculpture, what is formal in sculpture today? One answer would be that it is those material, optical, tactile features of sculpture which can be identified and logically examined as separate physical entities. Let's examine some of the artist's works to determine the formal elements of these compositions. This piece, entitled Rainbird 1965, has been released in an unlimited edition, thereby satisfying the artist's populist sensibilities. Perhaps you have seen one of these in a residential installation. This piece, Triptych 1968, represents the artist's reaction to being excluded from the previous Whitney Biennial. The curator's attitude was summed up by Billy Kluver in Life magazine. The whole idea of the machine scares them so much they can't move. This untitled, undated work represents an attempt by the artist to break out of the traditions of Western sculpture and inculcate a Zen-like sense using Eastern traditions. This piece represents the low point of his Eastern period, and most critics have found this work to be almost totally inaccessible. Shortly after this point, the work begins to show more concern with movement, sound, and color than ever before. While we were examining the work, we came across another assistant. Although we asked him for an interview, he refused to speak with us. As was said earlier, the work has become increasingly concerned with the dynamic interaction with its environment. Here we are attempting to give the viewer a feel for this juxtaposition. In one of the artist's more recent pieces, there is an exploration of scale in relation to sight. This area is actually only 6 feet deep. Other artists have attempted to explore the field of kinetic aqua sculpture, but generally the critics have not responded with as much enthusiasm. As we stand at the site of this new work in progress, our brief overview of this artist's work can only reinforce what Jack Burnham said. Ideas have a way of seeming unthinkably passé, and then all at once remarkably relevant, even to the casual observer. Such a reversal describes the brief history of kinetic art. It came and went, only to come again, searching for artistic fulfillment. Motion, a passion of 20th century artists, does not die easily and remains as elusive as ever.